This hour is brought to you by Jeremy Temple Law Office of Bloomington. Personal injury, criminal, business, whatever you need, Jeremy Temple Law Office will get you taken care of.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Come on, welcome aboard Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Larry here on this Tuesday, February 25. Coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Welcome aboard. Thanks a lot for joining us. Jim Coyle alongside Todd Leary, and Jake's at the wheel keeping us on the track. Thanks a lot. It's another big day, big show on tap here. Rick Bozich, nationally renowned writer from Fox 41, is going to join us. Chronic Hoosier will be with us today as well. Plenty to talk about. Michigan cancels a big trip over the coronavirus. IU football had some sad news. We'll talk about that some more with Peyton Hendershot. Indiana basketball preparing to take on the Boilers. Lots to get to. Todd Leary, how's it going, man?
Good. Exciting. It's getting closer and closer to March. It's always fun.
It is, man. It is getting closer and closer to March, and it's – man, I am so excited because it's the NCAA tournament to me is like Christmas for 3 weeks, at least actually it's 2 weeks. Those first 2 weekends.
So it's more like Hanukkah.
That's
right?
A great point, man. The however many days of the NCAA tournament is what it should be. But it is. It's like, and we've had these conversations off the air. I went to Vegas once on I think it was the opening weekend of the NCAA tournament. It was like going to a freaking sports paradise if you're a sports fan. I mean, all those games on at the same time, and it's just the atmosphere, the people. It was and I would not have expected it to be that fun. It was an absolute blast, and I'm not some big-time gambler. It was just a fun environment. I know you've done that too, I think.
Yeah, you literally don't have to spend $1 on betting the games for it to be just I mean, if you enjoy like going out to a wing restaurant or Yogi's or wherever and watching the games and being around people when everybody's excited for your team, I mean, magnify that times, I don't even know what number you could use, because there's hundreds of thousands of people in Las Vegas, and they're all out there to watch the basketball tournaments. And you've got fans from Liberty University, whose team is a 16 seed, playing against Duke or Baylor or somebody. And then you've got the diehard, IUs and Louisvilles and Purdue's of the world that are out there, expecting their team to make it to the Sweet 16 and the Final Four and all that. And it just, people bet on, the over and unders and how many points a team will score and first halves and everything. And so every basket matters. And it is just for basketball nerds, for athletic people who love competition and all that, there's nothing to compare it to. It is the most fun time you can possibly have if you love basketball and sports and stuff like that. Nothing compares to it.
Yeah, we'll call it Hanukkah. It's better than Christmas. It's better than Christmas.
It's just longer. It's just long. It's a longer period of time. And if for me, it starts really when in that first, the first round of the conference games. I mean, once the conference games start, that's really day one of basketball Hanukkah.
Did you see the shoes that Cody Zeller is going to be wearing tonight? I
saw those. Those were cool. Riley Hospital, yeah.
Riley Children's Hospital. They got the Indiana script on there for IU. You got the Welcome Indiana Crossroads of America thing, and there's a Hoosiers deal on the side of the shoes. Pretty cool.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Check those out. Get a pair of those, man. Rock those. It'd be kind of cool to walk around.
It's not my color. It's not my color.
Well, which one is your color? Because they're all on there. I'm pretty sure. Whatever color it is, I think you can find them on it. Yeah, that's a little bit too colorful for me, but pretty cool, man. Pretty cool deal. Cody Zeller wearing those for Riley Hospital for Children. Kicks for Kids. There you go. Go for that. So that'd be cool. Michigan football. You know how they always go out and about. They always cause trouble with doing that stuff, but Harbaugh loves to stir it up. But anyway, they usually have an international trip. They've canceled that because of the coronavirus, the fears of the coronavirus. And it just got me to thinking, man, the freaking Tokyo Olympics are coming up, and that's right in that part of the world where the epicenter of this is in China. I don't know. I'm sure that they will do whatever to not cancel it, but that has got to be an unbelievable, maybe the greatest fear ever for Olympics, other than maybe a war back in some time.
Yeah, I mean, the tragic part of this, or side of this, is there are athletes that train, for a 4-year period of time to
Kelly. We have our own Lily King athlete,
right.
and there's plenty of others.
And that's the tragic part. But I mean, in all reality, the way it stands right now, I don't have any question that we'll just have not only athletes boycotting it, but full countries boycotting it if they don't get it under control and fixed. And I don't know enough about the coronavirus to talk too intelligently about it, but I mean, I read what's online about it all the time, and it seems like they can't get it under control. And if they can't, I don't see how they have the Olympics.
Every time we have the post-game show after the game with Todd Leary, Live from Yogi's, we put up the beers from Best Beer, who was a sponsor for that show. And we've been putting up Corona here lately, and I've been getting tons of comments. You guys are going to get the coronavirus.
They're virus free.
They are virus free. We need to get some masks to put on them, maybe, if we do that again. But who knows? But yeah, that's it's a weird deal. I'm gonna have to get Lily back on the. Lily's been on the show with us before. I'm gonna have to get her back on and talk to her about see how training is going and all that. But to talk to her about this, because what's the fear like for not just an American athlete, but just athletes in general who are doing exactly what you're talking about, spending a chunk of their life training for this and preparing for this, and then that's got to be a gigantic worry. I know when they were in Brazil, there was the problems with the water and the pollution and all that, and that's nasty and that's bad and that's horrible. But this is serious
life and death.
deal,
yeah,
man.
This is life and death.
This is crazy.
Different deal for sure.
But look forward to getting Lily on the show again. But
I'm sure.
Talk to her.
Yeah, I don't know what you do in that scenario. I honestly don't know what you do. It's such a big event. I mean, obviously, it's a worldwide event, so it's got to be one of the biggest sporting events in the world. Every 4 years, and I don't know what you do, because it's a scary deal.
Absolutely. Lots of other things going on last night on the hard court. U of L, Louisville, played Florida State. Seminoles get another win.
Game?
I watched part of it, man. They 82-67 to win Florida State. It was a pretty tight game, but they kind of controlled it most of the part, pulled away a little bit at the end.
Louisville dominated the first half. I mean, Louisville was ahead by 11 in the first, I think.
Oh, they get up that much? I didn't know they got up that much.
Oh, yeah. It was like 40-29 at halftime or something goofy. And they were just they just looked in control. And the second half, I don't want to say it looked like a different team. It looked like a Division I basketball team versus a high school team. I mean, Louisville, and I'm not picking on Louisville. They're a good team. They've got some great players and a good coach. I just don't understand. I mean, they were awful, terrible. It looked like they were a high school team playing against a really good Division I team. I mean, Florida State just trounced them, ran right over them. It was crazy.
Yeah, but that helps Indiana a ton, because it's Florida State continued now, and I'm not sure how it's one game, so right. I'm not. But it can't hurt.
When you're looking at the resume at the end of the year and they're talking about it, it sure doesn't hurt that you're going to have a top 5 team that you beat. And here's what I'm surprised we haven't talked more about. Not you and I, but I haven't heard more about when it comes to Indiana's, all their net rankings and all that crap is, you don't play NCAA tournament games on the road. I mean, you don't play true road games. You play neutral site games. And Indiana's undefeated in neutral site games. I mean, they beat Notre Dame, which is a decent team. They beat UConn, which is a decent team. And in those venues, I mean, they're not doing too bad. A lot of other places, a lot of other teams can't say that.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be. Indiana can end up with, I think they could end up with potentially 8 quad 1 wins. I think that I can't I'm not saying they can't win at Illinois, but that's just a hard ask. I don't expect them to win at Illinois. I don't expect them to win at Purdue, but I think that they can win at Purdue, and that's a quad one win. I think they're going to beat Wisconsin at home. That's a quad one win. They're going to have 8. If they have 8 quad one wins, it's just what they end up getting seeded. That's the thing.
And that's that is what they've got an opportunity to do right now is jump ahead of some teams in the Big Ten race, and that truly is that's the big deal I think to me right now. I mean, they're going to here's a team I want you to think about. You and tell me if you think this statement makes no sense. I think there is a decent chance Rutgers does not make the NCAA tournament.
No way. There's no way they miss. None. They would have how many games? They have to 5 games left or 4 games? They'd have to lose every one of them.
Yeah. Well, they have 3 games left in Big Ten play.
How many of those are at home?
1, and it's against Maryland.
Ooh,
they play at Penn State and at Purdue.
They can lose out,
and
but even if they lose out,
if they play in the first round of the Big Ten tournament, they're going to end up playing like an Ohio State.
Well, right now they have a double bye, so they're not going. There's no chance that they can fall that far.
They would finish right above. They would end up playing like a Purdue or a Minnesota or somebody in the first round of the Big Ten tournament. I'm not saying I think it's going to happen. But there's a decent chance that it happens. They could lose 4 games in a row and finish the year 18-14.
Where would that put them in the Big Ten, though?
It would put them.
They'd have to be in the. You have to be in the bottom 4 to play in the first round.
It would put them 9th.
Okay, well they're fine then because there's 14 teams.
I know. I'm just saying there's a chance only 8 teams make the NCAA tournament. It would depend on all these other tournaments and all.
Well, anything's possible.
Hey, and all that.
Anything's possible in this season.
From where they were earlier, they could literally lose their last 6 games of the year.
Absolutely, because just as easy as that, a team like, and I'm just using them as an example, but a team like Indiana can go from being out of the damn tournament 1 week ago to a potential 7 seed, but that's if they won out. They would get a 7 seed. That's a team that was out of the tournament a week ago could end up a 7 seed.
No, I'm telling you, Indiana could end up a 5 or 6 seed.
No, there's no chance.
They're a 9 right now.
No, they're not.
Yeah, no, they are. I have it right in front of me. In the
those are some kids that bracketology. That is not.
That is the NCAA projected rankings.
I don't go by their crap. I go by Joe Lunardi. I promise you, he's going to be a lot closer than the NCAA. And it's their deal. I understand it's their party.
What are you talking about? This is the criteria they use.
I understand, but I bet
factors in. Hang on,
I know, but it's because it's the NCAA. First of all,
it factors in the net rankings. It factors in Sagarin. It factors in Ken Palm. Strength of schedule.
Now, I think they should be a 9. I agree with you because I think the net rankings. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. I'm looking at too many teams. I sent you, or I posted something yesterday that I retweeted. Somebody had posted that it compared 2 teams. I think it was Virginia and I think it was Minnesota, who were both like right behind each other in the net rankings. Then both played a game. Minnesota played a team that was much lower ranked than, say, Virginia. But Minnesota jumped like 11 spots,
right,
and Virginia jumped 1 spot.
Right.
And it was like a similar win, and it's like, okay, explain that to me, please.
Yeah.
Because I keep looking at these net rankings, and Indiana they're not close to anything else that they're ranked in. And Ken Palm, this, that, and the other things, they're all like within a window of, say, 38 to 48, maybe Indiana's in that range. In everything else except the net rankings, which are like 20 below, which I'm like, okay, I don't get the net rankings.
Well, but one thing that's got them really high, which is what they used to use, was the Sagarin rankings. Sagarin has them 25th. And so if you even them all out, I'm just telling you, like I looked at it, I was looking at it all last night and all morning. And
I think that's where they should be.
It has Indiana as the second 9 seed, not like the
not even the 4th
seed.
9 seed, yeah,
right.
And and that's the thing. They can, if these are ifs, but they can completely turn this season around in a freaking heartbeat. You go to Illinois, you go to Purdue and Illinois and win.
That's what I'm saying. If they could pull off, if they could win one of the two road games and win both home games and then win 2 games in the Big Ten tournament, which is not asking a crazy amount, it's just playing well. I honestly think they're a 5 or 6 seed. That's pie in the sky. That's best case scenario.
If that stuff happens, I would agree with you, because that would put Indiana in a position to possibly have 10 quad 1 wins, which would probably be 2 or 3 more than anybody else in the country. They already have more. Rick Bozich, who's going to be on with us, let's go ahead and get out so we can get him on, but we'll talk to him about it. Indiana has more quad wins than several teams ranked substantially higher than them, including Kentucky. Let's get out of here so we can get Rick Bozich on. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Coy O'Leary from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Back with Rick Bozich right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Ryan Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is A.J. Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Hey, it's Michael Lewis, former Indiana University player and current UCLA assistant basketball coach, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Leary here on this Tuesday. It's February 25th, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Joined now by Rick Bozich, one of the most widely renowned writers in the country. Rick, thanks for joining us from Fox 41 in Louisville.
Hi, Todd. Hi, Jim. How are you guys doing on this rainy Tuesday morning?
It is that, man. We're doing good. How are you? I know you. I think you were at that Louisville Florida State game last night, probably, weren't you?
No, we didn't go.
That was on the road, wasn't it?
I wrote about it. Certainly did watch it, and it's twice now Louisville has struggled with Florida State and Florida State's athleticism and depth. And I guess one of the takeaways further down the line is still a huge resume win for Indiana because they beat that team by 16.
Yeah, we were talking about that a second ago. I mean, I don't know how much that one win helps them, but it's got to help a lot. And Florida State continues to add to that for Indiana very nicely. But I'm sure that will help some. But we were talking about, and you posted, I saw something on the quad 1 wins. Indiana's doing pretty well in that. And they potentially could end the season with like 8 quad 1 wins, which would put them pretty high. But yet the net rankings have them so low.
Yeah, I don't really understand that net formula stuff. I know that they're in the top 40 in Ken Palm and Sagarin, but they haven't even cracked the top 50 yet in net. So, as I remember from last year, I don't think the selection committee was obsessed with the net ratings. I don't think that's a huge flashing light for Indiana. The more interesting to me is what some of the top bracketologists are projecting at this point, and at this point, nearly everyone has Indiana in the field. So as long as they keep doing what they've been doing over the last few weeks, they should be okay.
Yeah, I think they can go 2-2. It's not what you'd love to see, but the 3-1 would be optimum. But they've got 2 road games, 2 home games. Of course, going to Illinois is a tough ask. Going to Purdue is a tough ask. But I actually, with how they played lately, Rick, I think that and how Purdue has played lately, I think they have a shot to go there and win, as tough as it is.
It's so strange because the last Indiana game I went to was the last Purdue game, and I'd say that 97% of the people that walked out of that building that day said when they go to West Lafayette, they're going to lose by 30.
Exactly. 50.
And that's not the way people look at it today because Purdue, I believe, has not won a game since. Isn't that correct?
Yeah.
And Indiana's won 3 out of 4. So you never know. Purdue, I would think, they're on the outside looking in right now, and I'm sure I think they're at 14-14, so they're playing for a winning record. I'm sure they still believe they can get in because their computer rankings are actually higher than Indiana's. And I'm fairly sure Matt Painter will paint this to them as, you got to win this game to have any chance to get in the tournament. And B, it's Indiana, and I've never lost to Archie Miller, so, we need to win this game.
Yeah, I mean, Rick, this is Todd. Hey, when you look at this game, I mean, this is – I think every team has this game on their schedule or this opponent on their schedule where you truly can kind of throw out the records and you can throw out, how good one team is versus the other. The real surprising game, I think, for Indiana all season long, and I think their worst loss is definitely that Purdue game at home. And going up there, yeah, I'm sure, you kind of get the same feeling. I don't know how we're going to compete against them because we look so bad here. But this is one of those games you just kind of throw out the window and you don't – and I'm talking about from looking at on paper whether they could or should win or lose. This is one you've just got to go call it a must-win in your own mind and go up there and know it's going to be a battle and a grind and do whatever you can to value every possession. And I think Archie Miller and all of Indiana's got to do exactly what you just said. Hey, we've never beat, Archie's never beat Matt Painter. He's never beat Purdue. Let's go win this for our, what the opportunity really is for us. Because, I can remember back in my day, there were some games that Purdue really didn't have much to play for. And we really did. And I know they cost us a Big Ten tournament or a Big Ten championship one year, and they had nothing to play for other than beating us. And they just somehow figure out a way to win this game.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I was there that day, and you guys were there that day when Purdue won. And, with Bob Knight coming back to Assembly Hall and Indiana needing to win, and for Purdue to come into Assembly Hall and not just win the game, but sort of out-tough Indiana.
Right,
I think a lot of people were shocked that they got that much out-toughed and that Indiana really didn't respond in the second half, and they were behind at halftime, and then they really were out of the game shortly after that in the second half. So If these guys have much pride, I would think that would sting them to the point where they would say, we got to show these dudes that they're not that much better than us."
Right.
And that was a game where they had their fairly usual struggles against good teams for these segments where they go without a field goal for a while. But what was alarming in that game for Indiana was that they weren't tough on defense, and you can't let Stefanovic and a few of these other guys get comfortable and start making shots, because once he's really struggled since the IU game, but he's capable of obviously getting on a roll, and if you let him make a couple of shots early in front of that home crowd, that's a risk. So I don't know who gets that assignment, whether it's Durham or Devontae Green or who it is, but whoever guards Stefanovic, to me, that's one of the key matchups.
I know you've been a big fan of the Trace and Race show, as many Hoosier fans. Race Thompson, man, he's having a great year if he can stay healthy. He just keeps coming back no matter what and improving, and he's becoming a much more important part of that team. He's not the leading scorer or whatever, but he just does so many things you don't see on the stat sheet, and he's pretty efficient when he's in there.
Yeah, I mean, he makes an impact. When he's out there, he's there. You don't see him kind of drift at times where there's a few guys that are out there and they have like 3 or 4 minute periods where you don't even realize they're there. Even if he isn't getting a rebound, he's tipping the ball to somebody else to get the rebound, or he's blocking somebody from, getting the baseline and getting an easy basket. He's involved in the rebound and not letting it be an easy rebound and put back rebound for the other team. He's got work, obviously, to do on his offensive game, but even that improved. I thought he showed more confidence and more versatility against Penn State. And I understand coaches are reluctant to make changes, and Joey Brunk was very important to Indiana in December and January. There were a lot of games when he was really the motor of that team, but it's not happening for him right now. And it's got to be a dilemma for Archie Miller to say, do you make this change in the starting lineup and go with Race, or do I still start Brunk and see if he can get it going, and then I have Race in my back pocket?
That's been the biggest question for Todd or both of us, but we've talked about this a lot, is his kind of almost refusal to go away from a starting lineup and then taking a guy out in 2 minutes after the game starts. Todd, we can kind of been figuring that out all season.
Yeah, I mean, it was really striking on Sunday when he started Brunk in the second half, and they pretty much got him involved in some pick and rolls on Lamar Stevens, and it was, it's a hard matchup for any big guy, but it's really a hard matchup for Brunk, and he wasn't able to stop that, so he went to Thompson, and that sort of helped Indiana steady itself on defense, but Archie Miller's seems to be a little bit old school, that he's not somebody, even you can remember a lot of times he's talked about shaking things up and things have got to change. And then you come back the next game and it's still the same guy starting. So that doesn't seem to be, shaking up the starting lineup doesn't seem to be his go-to move. He alters it a different way, I guess, in shaking up the percentage of playing time.
Yeah, one of the things that surprised me, because yes, you're right. The second half of that Penn State game, the sub that came in within 2 minutes was Race Thompson, but the 3 halves prior to that, both halves at Minnesota and the first half of the game, it's not been Race Thompson that's come in off the bench first. It's been Deron Davis, and I don't understand the two bigs. Like when you talk about him, kind of being old school. Like I agree with you. He's one of the Indiana's one of the very few teams across the country that, for a decent portion of their game, or at least the coach likes to have 2 bigs on the floor at the same time. And it's just defensively, it has really, my frustration has been with every possession. I've always been taught every possession is so important. And why are we, I don't want to say giving away possessions, but defensively, we're putting ourselves at a serious disadvantage when we have 2 bigs on the floor with the teams that we're trying to guard in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I agree. The game's gone a different direction, and you're right. Miller is a little bit more old school and more comfortable playing bigs, and also more comfortable not being so reliant on the 3-point shot and trying to get good 2s and get to the foul line. And when that works, it's good. But I agree with you. I mean, I think that I'd like to see from Indiana, I think the more effective lineup would be a more mobile lineup like that. And Although I will give Deron Davis credit. There was a point, a month ago when it looked like, man, he was not going to be much of a contributor the rest of the year, and he's actually played some of his best basketball the last 2 or 3 games, and he's a terrific passer. So he does do some things on offense. He has a tendency to get in foul trouble, but we're not there at practice, so I don't really know what his mindset is behind this, but I do agree with you that I like their team when it's more mobile. And I think they're better on offense, even with Race Thompson, because he is he's a very good offensive rebounder, and he's also a guy who, when he gets the ball, he doesn't over dribble. The ball keeps moving, and that's a good thing.
Agree.
Rick, this season is getting closer and closer to winding down. How many teams do you think out of the Big Ten are still going to make it? Todd was talking about a minute ago that Rutgers, a team that has been so strong in this league, potentially, and he's right, looking at their end-of-season schedule, they could really suffer toward the end of the season with the games they have to play yet.
Yeah, I mean, Rutgers could lose their last 3, and I think they're in now, but, if it gets ugly for them down the stretch, they could go out. I'd say the Big Ten's probably going to get 10. They could get 11. I think the talk about 12 is probably a bit of an exaggeration by people. But you're down there at the bottom. You got Minnesota, which has some serious work to do. You got Rutgers, you got Purdue, and Indiana's probably just one notch above those right now because of some of their quality wins. But all those teams, I don't think can feel comfortable at this point yet.
Someone that's probably feeling a little bit more comfortable right now is Archie Miller himself. Not that he had any concerns, but the talk has definitely simmered down on him.
Yeah, I mean, people were being – I understand. I mean, I know fan bases and what you have to view Indiana through the prism of. It's the frustration that a lot of fans feel isn't just for this year. It's for the last, 4 years. It's for the last, 10, 15, 30 years of the teams not being the way when you played, Todd, of where the season starts, the NCAA tournament is not even a concern. It's going to happen. It's a team that's going to go at least to the Sweet 16, and it hasn't been that way for a while. Yeah, there was the 2002 Final Four. There was the 2012 and 2013 Sweet 16s, but even that, the second one sort of ended in a way that disappointed or angered a lot of fans because they were a number 1 seed and got totally taken apart in that game by Syracuse. And then there was the 2016 that won those 2 games out in Des Moines, including the second one against Kentucky. But then they got run out of the gym by North Carolina and Philadelphia. So people look at the NCAA tournament and see what it used to be, and they see what a lot of other programs are doing. And they want to see Indiana moving more in that direction. And winning 3 of the last 4 games has helped bring people into, I guess, a less negative state of mind. But you still have to view it in, it's only year 3. And I know people don't want to hear about year 3, year 4, year 5, but it is only year 3. He's got to get more of his own players in there. And if they can make the tournament this year, it is a step forward.
Absolutely. Rick, you have anything coming up? I know you always do, but anything immediate that the fans need to know about?
Oh, we're just gearing up for tournament play. I think this weekend, I think Auburn's at UK. I'm actually going to the ACC tournament. It's getting ready for heavy travel season. So it's exciting because, as you guys know from this area, it's what people really care about, what they live for, and what they want to know about. And, obviously, Kentucky's going to be in the tournament, probably about a 3 or 4 seed. Louisville's going to be in the tournament. After last night, they might be down to a 4 seed, and if Indiana can get in there, then you got all 3 of them in the tournament, and that makes Selection Sunday and the week that follows just a week where I think a lot of people kind of step away from work a little bit and just watch basketball for 4 straight days.
You know how the NCAA always seems to have fun with these tournament placings. What are the odds of Indiana drawing Dayton? Joe Lunardi has them in a bracket right now that would put them on a collision course with playing Dayton. But that's something NCAA seems to have a penchant for doing.
So that would mean what, Indiana would be a 10 seed? If they won, they'd have to win and play. A 10 plays a 7, and then a 7 plays a 2, right? So they'd have to – win a game and play Dayton, because Dayton's probably going to be a 2 seed, right? Or they have them
Right.
1 now.
You would
After what
think
happened
so,
last
yeah.
I
weekend.
would think so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be interesting. Dayton, to me, is everybody's talked so much this year about San Diego State and Gonzaga among the high. I hate the word mid-majors, but they're not in the Power 5 or Power 6 conferences. But Dayton, really, their record is better than probably either one of those teams, because both their losses have been in overtime, and one was to Kansas on a neutral floor. And they got this dude, Obi Toppin, who a lot of people say will be a top 5 NBA draft pick. And that will be fascinating if Indiana would play Dayton. It'd be a national storyline, and I think it could be a game Indiana could win.
It'll certainly be fun, man. Rick, I cannot thank you enough. We love having you on. We appreciate you immensely.
I enjoy talking to you guys. And are you going to Purdue on Thursday?
I'm not, because we have the post-game show.
And I'm not allowed in the building.
You're not allowed in the building. So what's your pick? I want to hear your picks for Thursday night.
It's truly a toss-up for me. I mean, like I said to you earlier, I don't look at the way Indiana's playing. I don't look at how bad Purdue's playing and think that Indiana has an advantage. That place is just different, and I don't even know how to explain it, so I can't articulate it right. It's just different.
It's to me, it ranks right with Indiana's the toughest place to play in the Big Ten. It really does.
Yeah,
and,
I mean, I see that from a Purdue standpoint. I mean, this game to them is this is their game that gets them into postseason play. It's probably going to be the NIT, but it gets them into postseason play. And for whatever reason, over the years, it just seems like Purdue ends up winning this game. And I hate to say that, but it's just the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, Tom Crean struggled at Mackey, and Mike Davis struggled at Mackey, and did I read somewhere that Knight's record against Katy was pretty much 500 back and forth? I didn't realize that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that tells you a lot right there. So yeah, it'll be a tough game. Indiana just needs to not get blown out, because when they've lost this year, to me, that's been the most disconcerting thing about this team. They've had those games. Obviously, Michigan was one, but Wisconsin on the road and Maryland on the road, where they just get smashed at the end of the game, and that's not something I think you want the NCAA tournament this late in the year to sort of get a picture of, if you're trying to make the tournament of a team that's really not competitive against a bubble team.
Yep.
Rick, thank you, sir, for joining us, man. We appreciate you. Safe travels as you go out throughout this tournament season.
All right. Same to you guys. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. We'll see you soon. There's Rick Bozich from Fox 41 in Louisville, nationally renowned sports writer. Cannot thank him enough, man. He's been around for a minute. He's covered everything. He covered Bob Knight when he was a student. He got kicked off a bus once by Bob Knight coming back from a trip as a student for the IDS. But always appreciate Rick joining us here. Hey, we got lots more coming up on the program. Chronic Hoosiers with us today as well in the next hour. Plenty more to talk about. Kobe had they had a memorial for Kobe yesterday. We'll talk about that as well here from Shaq and MJ. Stay tuned. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Coy O'Leary coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, and we're back right after this.
Got this woman in the backseat. She my wifey in the middle of the livery.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs, Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Hi, this is AJ Moye, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer. Yeah, welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat. Coyle here with you here on this Tuesday. Just finished up with Rick Bozich here at the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Love having him on, man. He is he's a nationally renowned writer that he's been around for a minute or two, Todd Leary.
Yes, he has. Hey, let me
two.
give a special happy birthday to the oldest Leary boy, Max Leary.
Hey, Max, happy birthday.
22 years old today.
Double deuce. Happy birthday, Maxwell.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Congratulations. Cool. What? Let's see. Oh, yeah, yesterday they had the memorial for Kobe Bryant.
Oh, my gosh.
I only got to see parts of it. I don't know that I've
I only saw clips of the highlights on ESPN, and I cried.
It was.
The thing is awful.
Jake, which one do you have first to make it easier on you? Okay. We're going to keep this light and funny because that's kind of how they handled it yesterday. Trying to lighten the mode. Michael Jordan, of course. Do you remember the crying Michael Jordan meme that was on? Well, of course, he hated it. Well, here's Michael Jordan because he got him crying when he was speaking yesterday.
Now he's got me. I'll have to look at another crime meme for the next. I told my wife I wasn't going to do this because I didn't want to see that for the next 3 or 4 years.
But the funniest one had to be Shaq. This one's. I hope we got this one beeped out, but this is kind of funny. It was a funny joke by Shaq. He is talking about back when they played together, both for the Lakers.
And their relationship was really kind of
strange,
tumultuous. Yeah, it was on and off, and I think thank goodness for Shaq, it ended on the positive note.
Absolutely.
I said, Kobe, there's no I in team. And Kobe said, I know, but there's an in me in that motherfucker.
Oh! There you go.
Whoopsie.
Well, you missed the first part of that was the team had been complaining that Kobe wasn't passing the ball, and he says, I'll talk to him. And then you heard that. He goes, hey, Kobe, there's no I in team. And there's no ME. There's an ME in that Joe, that mother lover. Perfect. Well, that one caught me off guard. But, they tried to keep it light. But man, the place was packed. You had, oh, my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. Bill Russell, the great Boston Celtic, the Celtic of all Celtics, even more than Larry Bird. But he was wearing a Kobe.
Whoa.
Dude,
you sure about that?
Do you know how many NBA titles the man won?
You sure about that?
Yes.
Yeah, well, I know. Well, Bill Walton won a bunch of titles at UCLA, and he ain't the ultimate UCLA.
Exactly. But let me tell you, Bill Walton is Mr. Celtic. I think he won 12. Was it 12?
You mean Bill Russell?
Bill Russell,
don't confuse Bill Walton with anything.
Well, you got me
fantastic.
saying that. I never even thought him till you said that. But anyway, he was wearing a Kobe jersey, and so it was the ultimate tribute. But it was? Oh, cool. When they were playing. But he was coming around when you were kind of getting out of college, but you were well aware of him.
Yeah, sure. I mean, Kobe was, it was whether he was going to go straight to the NBA out of high school, and then it was he going to be the number one pick? Is he that good? How good can he be? And then it wasn't very long into his career where he going to be the best player of all time. And then he just kept winning championships, and by the end of it, I think I grew up Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, that era of NBA, and I just idolized all of those guys, but I thought Michael Jordan with his championships and all that was probably the best player of all time because I watched him the most. And then when Kobe came along, you really kind of thought nobody could match what Michael Jordan did, and I would say he did it. And I've never been a Lakers fan. I've never been a real NBA fan, that. But I don't know that anyone. I wish I had made this statement before he died, because now it kind of sounds like I'm only saying it to say something nice about him, but it's not true. I mean, he went out and proved it, and at the end of the day, I don't think you can say that one of the greatest players of all time, didn't win championships, and he did. So I don't know how you don't put him in that same conversation. I don't know that it matters that you say who literally was the best of all time, because different eras are going to have different arguments, but he's in that conversation 100% for sure.
Absolutely. Last night we saw some games. Nebraska with Alan from Bird's Eye hit the text line, which you can do as well. 812-269-6367. That's 812-269-6367, Indiana Sports Beat text line. Alan from Paradise said, with Nebraska hanging with the Illini for 30-plus minutes, Indiana could go in with a good attitude, walk out with a win. Maybe. They did they did play with them last night. I watched some of that game.
Yeah, I mean, it was tied with 10 minutes to go.
There's people say there's no moral victories. Let me tell you, I promise you, Fred Hoiberg is racking up some moral victories this year for himself, for this team, because some of the things they've done. Hey, man, I think they've kind of impressed me, because they're a terrible team. He inherited not a lot, and he gave Indiana all they wanted here. He just gives Illinois all they want. So they're playing hard. He hasn't lost. Yeah.
They seem to be in just about every game, which is pretty remarkable. I mean, we talk a lot about Indiana. Obviously, we watch them the most and the closest, but we talk about, how well players play together and stuff like that. Imagine having an entire team, and I don't just mean your starting five. I mean an entire 14-man roster with not one player that's ever played with anybody else on that team. I mean, they AAU threw this thing together with transfers and walk-ons and everything else, to the point where they have been competitive in a situation where, you said it to start the year, everybody predicted them 0-20, and they have been more than competitive in a lot of their games.
Absolutely. Ryan from Whitmore Lake, Michigan, text in. I agree with Todd. IU could definitely play themselves into a high seed. A lot can happen. Also, my prediction is still intact, baby, for their final 8 games. I think he said they'd go 7-1.
7-1.
Yeah, that ain't happening, but you're right. It's still intact at the moment. And
hey,
it's not impossible.
We're rooting for you, Ryan. I hope we have to give you credit for saying that.
It is Fat Tuesday. Is it? I didn't know that.
I don't see that. What is Fat Tuesday? It's Tuesday and I'm fat. Is that?
Yeah, I guarantee it's always Fat Tuesday for me every Tuesday.
Dude, no kidding. Yesterday was Fat Monday.
That's Mardi Gras. It's the Mardi Gras thing, man.
Really? Is that now? I've never been there, so I don't.
Oh, that's tomorrow. So you got to get the ashes on your head tomorrow. I'm not Catholic. I don't have to do that.
Man, I got a funny Terry Hutchins story about that, but
we'll
save that for later.
Oh, man, if it's doable, I love a Terry Hutchins story. Oh, man. Indiana beats Purdue at least by 9 at Mackey. Yeah, right. Tim, if that happens, I'm going to say you're right, and I don't know that's going to happen.
I don't care if it's 1 or 29.
Right. That would be asking a lot to have to win by 9 means you're probably up by 15.
Here's where I get some hope on it is if Indiana goes there into Mackey Arena with the mindset of defensively, we're going to hold this team that has struggled to score, to 50 points. Then as long as defense, the points doesn't matter. And I don't know why I said that, but as long as their defensive mindset is there and they understand that this team has struggled to score and don't give them any, don't make them feel good. Because if they feel good about themselves, we've seen what they can do to teams in that building. And if they get off to a hot start, I mean, they have blown out Michigan State, Virginia, somebody else, all by 30. And they can get hot. You just can't let them get started. As soon as they get started, you're screwed.
Absolutely. 4 games remaining on the Hoosier schedules. They head up to West Lafayette Thursday. Then you've got Illinois. They travel to Champaign on Sunday, and then finish the season at home next week on a Wednesday and a Saturday against no, they travel to Minnesota. Yeah, they have Minnesota at home, Minnesota at home, and Wisconsin at home. Wisconsin would be a quad 1 win. Because they're ranked so high. Minnesota,
nope, not at home.
That's going to be what, top 30?
Top
yeah,
30
top 30, yeah. Illinois would be one, of course, and Purdue both would be one. So they have 3 out of their last 4 games are quad 1 ops.
They actually, so here's how crazy it's gotten. I've turned into a quad nerd.
Quad geek?
Yes. And so they have started even classifying the quad 1s. You can get a quad 1A win, which would be yeah, it's true. You can get a road win against a top 30 team. Not only gives you the quad 1 win, but it gives you a quad 1.
You just lost your mic a little bit, I think.
Oh, did I?
But wow, I didn't know they were doing that, but that makes total sense because to me that is a road win is just more valuable, and I think that they rightfully have said, "Hey, man, we need to rectify that."
Well, a quad 1 win was based. Can you hear me? Okay, now.
Yeah.
A quad 1 win was based on if it's a road game and they're ranked in the top 75, then it's a quad 1 win. Well, then you had some teams that were going and winning, big time games on the road against top 5 teams.
Right.
And that was valued the same as beating a team number 75. So they wanted to upgrade that just a little bit. And so now they have quad 1A wins, which are, the same as what a quad 1 win, a home win would be, which a top 30. It's just on the road. So it is just extra ways to get bonuses. And Illinois would definitely be one of those quad 1A wins.
Man, I know it does no good. It's just hard not to look at 3 words, or it's actually 4 words, but that just, man, Indiana would be a top 5 seed had it not been for Arkansas, Maryland, and Purdue.
Yeah.
Those 3 games, but that's happened and that ship has sailed.
Yeah, and you can truly. I mean, Maryland, they had that game won. It's not like it would have been a fluke. They had to have everything go wrong to lose. And
I guess my point, and since they are in the position they are in with that, I mean, they're playing better now, so that's all you care about. It would have been nice for that to have happened. It didn't happen, so you got to deal with it. But that shows you what this team is capable of.
Right.
It shows you what they could possibly do at the end of the season if they continue trending upward. And that's the thing that I've talked about immensely after the Minnesota Penn State. Now, what do we see at Purdue? Again, they don't have to win that game, but it's how they're going to play.
Right. Yeah. No, it truly is. It comes down to right now. You want to put so we'll put those ones in the past that we didn't take care of. We'll put them in the past, but you also got to take the current way that they're playing and the win streak that they're on, put that in the past also. And this is the next game up. This is the next opportunity that you have to go, display your talents. And here's what I like. I am excited to see I'm excited to see the lineup play that I think we will see play. I mean, I'm excited to see Indiana with a faster pace lineup on the floor and see how they do. And so that's what I'm looking for on Thursday.
Well, yeah, because you think that's what Archie wants because he talked about that so much. You would think that. Yet we didn't see that. That's not what happened.
Haven't seen that.
I don't know what happened with that. He fell in love with the Joey Brunk thing for whatever reason. He has fallen out of love with that now.
Sort of.
The writing is his hand was kind of forced. I mean, Race Thompson elevated his play, and even Deron Davis has elevated his play on the offensive end. So he forced his hand because they just weren't getting as much from Joey then, and Joey was becoming a little bit of a liability against some players. So, and I'm not trying to knock on him about that, but we got a lot more coming up to talk about. More Indiana basketball, of course. We're going to talk about. There's a little bit of Indiana football news to get to. Baseball, man, we're opening at the Bart tomorrow, 3:05 against Butler. Be there, be square. And I think there's a forecast for snow, man. Hey, stay tuned. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Coy O'Leary. We're coming back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make it tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
You're on the line with Jamal Meeks, former Indiana Hoosier, number 23, 1992. And I'm on the beat with Jim Coyle.
that, at this time of year, it's way more mental than it is physical. You're doing your best as a coach to really monitor your body and your practice time. So it's not like you're beating each other up every single day, and the games continue to just pile up. So it's much more about preparation, and it's much more about how fresh you are and how good you feel. And, going into the Minnesota game, I thought we had a great attitude. It's almost like, at this time of year, you have to take out all the clutter and all the stuff and just get down to the basics. Can you find a way to win in one game? And that's what you do. And you don't worry about, all the other things that have gone on before. It's just about that one opportunity. And, I thought defensively, if you really look at the week, defensively all week, we played really hard. We had 2 really good defensive performances. And we got some guys to step up and play smarter. We took care of the ball this week, which would be a huge.
There's Coach Archie Miller talking about his Hoosiers as they have continued to improve over the last few games and not only win, but it's how they have played. They have played with a great defensive tenacity. They have played with a restrained.
A better defensive tenacity.
Yes, much better. Much better defensive tenacity. And offensively, they have really, I think they've kind of really brought it in. Their shots are better. They're looking for better shots. They're not abandoning the three-point shot, obviously, but they're getting better shots inside of that mark. I mean, there's not a rule that says you got to shoot everything from out there, and they've adjusted to that. Justin Smith has done a good job of that. Al Durham has done a good job of that. Jerome Hunter had done it for a minute, but then he kind of disappeared again. But
I mean, you've got to take people for what they are, and I think Jerome Hunter is a 3-point shooter. I just don't think he's a very good one, and he's below the national average, which the national average is crazy low, but still, I mean, there are times when that's what you need out of him, and if he could come in and go 1 for 3 from the 3-point line. That one that he made the other day was gigantic. Down by 6, he made the 3-pointer that got them, on a roll, that started the roll back up. So you've got to give him credit. And, I've been trying all year. I just want him to – I think Jerome Hunter could be an 8, 9, 10-point scorer in a game. And I think, one of those can be a 3-pointer and a few of those can be driving in the lane and even posting up. He's so long. If he could get a guard defending him, he could take him into the post, and I just think there's different aspects of his game that we could use besides just the 3-pointer.
I agree with you. Looking forward to seeing what they do at Purdue, because you've talked about how Mackey is such a different place, and it is. And there's a hatred for that building for Indiana, like no other building that they're going to go into. And so I'm really looking forward to them playing in this game on the heels of these 2 good games that they have put together and see what they can do as far as their resiliency there, because you talk about needing some resiliency, pretty sure you're going to need it there.
Yeah, and no question about it. There's going to be, some points in this game where it doesn't look good. And you've got to fight through that. And that's why it's so difficult. And you can't, here's what Indiana really needs to try, and this is a true point. It's not just coach speak or something. It's a true point. Is they've got to really limit. If there's a situation where Purdue makes a 3-pointer and then gets a transition basket or something, and Indiana has to consciously understand, even though Indiana wants to play fast, that's a time you got to walk the ball up the court or use a timeout or do something to just slow everything down, because that's what you've seen Purdue be able to do is when they're at home, when they go on a run, it's a run, and it's a big one. And they've done it to several teams in that building and several really good teams that will make the NCAA tournament. They've done it to them in that building. And so, they're very capable of breaking out of struggling to score, which is what they do. And what Indiana just has to be cognizant of is not allowing those runs to get started and putting a stop to them right away.
Yeah, and Purdue has not exactly been playing their best ball of the season here, nope. Which is a little surprising because we've seen so many teams do the opposite. Well, Purdue is taking the opposite route. But that's not something that I would plan on being the case on Thursday. Matt Painter's a very good coach. You're very good friends with him. We know that he is going to have something special for the Indiana Hoosiers.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things over the years that Matt's been great at when you watch their teams play is when they're kind of in this position and they're kind of – I mean, they're not playing for anything. I'm sure in their mind, if it was Indiana in their same position, we would all still talking about, they've not been eliminated from the possibility of postseason play. And so there's always hope and something to play for. But one of the things Matt's been great at is kind of taking the pressure off and lightening the mood. Like, it won't shock me at all Thursday night if when they're warming up or when you see introductions and you see all that stuff going on, if you don't see Purdue, laughing and having fun and real lighthearted, and it won't be, Indiana will be serious business down there, all focused and ready to go, which is what we want. But Matt Painter's been really good at lightening the mood up and having his guys say, hey, you know what? Their backs to the wall, not ours. Let's go out and play and have fun and get things rolling. And when they get it rolling, they've proven they can steamroll you in that place.
Yeah, that's we saw, who was it? They bum rushed, hit all those threes. Who was that against? Michigan State. Oh my God, they just could not miss.
Iowa, wasn't it? Didn't they make 19 threes against Iowa?
And they just were playing so well. And then they come to Indiana and they were continued playing well. Indiana played horribly, and then all of a sudden it turned for them.
Yeah.
About the time it turned for Indiana in the other direction.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Bozich said it in the last hour was, Purdue hasn't won a game since that game in Assembly Hall. And Indiana's 3-1 since that point. And both teams have gone opposite directions, and you would have thought Purdue would have left with all the momentum. But, it's just not worked out that way. And that's been the grind and the way the Big Ten is. And, if you look at it, I'm an Indiana fan, so I'm obviously probably going to have this opinion, but Indiana's a more talented team. I mean, I don't think you can argue that point. I mean, I think if you go man for man all the way up and down the roster, I think Indiana's a more talented team. And but there's been times when Purdue has looked unbeatable. I mean, they have to beat Virginia by 30 and Michigan State by 30 and Iowa by 30. I mean, that's crazy. That just doesn't happen. And so, they've got the capability, and when they put it together, they really put it together. But they just have not been able to get a consistent mark and do that, especially on the road. But, this game's at home, so that makes it pretty scary.
Yeah, it does. And Indiana's got to do something they haven't done under Archie Miller, and that's beat Purdue. And that's got to be something that sticks in his craw a little bit. It's got to just piss
you off. Yeah, it's just got to. You can say, hey, every game is just as important as the other, whatever. Not true. I mean, this is one of those you've got to win. When Archie Miller does a lot of, even though I know he doesn't like him because he's just a basketball guy and wants to do basketball stuff, but he does a lot of speaking things in the summer and varsity club events and golf tournaments and things like that. And one of the questions you're always going to get asked until it's not an issue anymore is, when are we going to beat Purdue? Or why is Purdue so tough to beat? And it's time to just put that to bed. And going and winning on the road would eliminate the reason, having to answer that question all summer long.
And the bigger fact is, we say that Purdue's not playing for much. They're actually playing for their tournament life. I think they're out of the tournament. But
I agree. But they can play their way back in.
But they can't, because they play in the Big Ten. They can absolutely play their way back in. I don't know who their last 4 games are against. Need to get that pulled up, like we did with Rutgers, how they can play their way out. Purdue can play their way back in. I think Indiana's going to end up, worst case is 500 with where they are right now. I don't think they're going to move off of that, but hope they can. Purdue, on the other hand, it's going to be tough for them to get back in. Because,
Purdue's got Indiana at home, at Iowa, and Rutgers at home. And so, if you look at that and they go 2-1, win 2 out of 3.
I don't know I don't know even that's enough. Even that would be impressive.
It would make them 16-15 on the year.
Yeah,
they would need to win two games in the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, exactly. So they're not eliminated, but they are on life support.
Yeah.
Without question.
They can't lose either one of their home games. They're not going to beat Iowa at Iowa after beating them by 36 at home and making 19 threes. I'm pretty sure Iowa's going to.
I wouldn't be surprised for Iowa to beat them by 36.
I would not either.
I promise you. Jennifer hit the text line from Evansville. If we get a win at Purdue, maybe Indiana basketball is really turning it around. Playing better at the end of the season is what they need, of course. Tebow says if they beat Purdue and Minnesota, couldn't that eliminate both of them from the tournament? Give the Big Ten only 10 teams in. I think that will do exactly that. Yeah, I mean, that's going to put the final nail in. If they beat Purdue, Purdue would be done at that moment. Done. I don't think they could continue no matter what they did from that point forward. Minnesota also, they're the same deal. They're struggling. They're not at that bottom, and I think a lost Indiana is going to end their season as well.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And they, you look at that. I really believe. I think the number of Big Ten teams right now is 10, and I think it very easily could be 9. And it won't shock me if things fall in a certain way where it's only 8.
Yep.
It's not going to be 11 no matter what. Nope. I mean, every single scenario across the country and every other conference tournament would have to go. Chalk would have to win, and the two team in second place in the conference would have to lose their first game, and that would have to happen in every conference across the country. And so, none of that's going to happen. That's not even numerically possible, really. So I just don't think, I think the number is probably, I think it's 10 at the most. And I probably, if I had to bet on it, I would say 9 teams out of the Big Ten will make it.
I agree with you. I'm exactly right there, I think. So we'll see. Talked about this a little earlier. I just want to mention it again. Michigan football, man, canceling their international trip over the coronavirus. And I just think there's been a lot of other things already canceled, but that could invade sports. I mean, sports is such a transient thing, maybe more so than anything, because involves so many groups of people in one location. I mean, this is something that could affect sports this summer like nothing we've seen.
Oh, no doubt.
Since like maybe a World War II.
No, yeah, it is. It's scary, and it's one of those things I heard about originally. I shouldn't lump everybody else into that. I heard about it originally, and I'm like, oh yeah, whatever. It won't really affect us. And then you hear about it creeping into other countries, and then the United States, and then you're like, okay, it could be a big deal. I mean, it could turn into something we're all wearing masks around. I've seen people at the mall doing it.
Absolutely. Hey, we got lots more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Leary. Chronic Hoosier with us next. Stay tuned. Right after this, we're back. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Hey, it's Michael Lewis, former Indiana University player and current UCLA assistant basketball coach, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat.
All my friends know the low rider.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Larry coming to you here on this Tuesday, February 25. Coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, joined now by one of our favorites. It wouldn't be a Chronic Tuesday without Chronic Hoosier, and he's here with us today, man. How are you doing?
I am doing great. Always a better week when the Hoosiers are able to put together a winning streak. So feeling good about things right now. It's we're staring at the end of February. It's dead in the eye. March is right around the corner. And you got to love when Indiana's able to figure some things out and get some results. Now that they put that 4-game skid behind them, you're looking at winners of 3 out of the last 4. Got some manageable games ahead. Got a couple of road games where we're going to see just how sharp the iron has become here at the end of the season. But I think there's 2 great tests. You got to love Purdue week. As much as the teams kind of fluctuate up and down, and that's one thing you look at the last several decades, it's rare that these 2 teams have faced off when they're both at their best. But even still, one thing you can always count on is it's going to be a spirited contest. There's going to be a lot of fight in this game. There's 2 teams that have a whole lot to prove to themselves, to one another. Looking forward to seeing what happens here Thursday night up at Mackey.
Absolutely, and this is a time now that a week ago, Chronic, or 2 weeks ago, or just like I said, just a week ago, I wouldn't have given Indiana much of a chance up in West Lafayette. But coming off of not just the Penn State performance, but the Minnesota performance, in which in both games they had to fight back. They lost and had to come back. Minnesota, they had to do it twice. But Penn State, it was even a much more bigger and would have been a much more catastrophic fold over had that happened. But they did it twice. And so that shows me they are resilient. They're learning. They're maturing. They're growing. And they're doing things better. They have their mistakes. Of course, there's some holes there, but they seem to be trending in the right direction, and because of that, even though this is a rival game, it's an unusual place to play as far as when you go there, but I think they actually have a shot at winning this game, and I would never have even said that a week ago.
Yeah, it seemed hard to envision how this team was going to find a way to win anything on the road the way they've been playing. They certainly hit a nerve. They found a spark against Iowa, and while it wasn't able to travel with them to Michigan, the way in which they were able to rein that back in. And as you said, it's not just winning the game, but overcoming those things within the game that were causing them to lose the games, in spite of the droughts, in spite of some of the foul troubles, in spite of some of the defensive mismatches that they just couldn't find an answer for. And I think you probably saw that on clearest display against Penn State. I mean, to come out and absolutely boat race a top 10 team, which is still wild to say in regards to Penn State, but they are who they are, and they came into the hall as a top 10 team and just absolutely got their doors blown off to start the game. And in typical Indiana fashion, they found a way to let the opponent back in it. And credit to Archie for making the defensive switch early in the second when Stevens looked like he was just taking the thing over, putting Justin Smith on him, really stifled what they were trying to do. And that was one thing that I think we saw in full clarity was just how two-dimensional they were. You take Stevens out of the picture, and he certainly got it. There's no doubt about it. But it really, by keeping everybody else off the board, and by staying committed to the board for that matter, this team has figured out, and hopefully it's a lesson that lasts here for the next several weeks, that when they play tough, when they play with an attacking mindset, they can beat anybody. They just absolutely can. We've seen it now against a pair of ranked teams in the Hall here recently. But I think it's just it. They have to keep their mind right. And when this team attacks, when they attack on defense, when they pressure the ball, when they attack the passing lanes, and when they attack the paint, and it's not just, with post passes. I've talked about it a couple games in a row now where when you see this team where the guards are willing to get downhill and to drive on defenses, as much as I'd love to see them rain in three-point shots with a higher frequency, that's just as effective, if not more so, because it really keeps defenses honest. It keeps the spacing honest. And at the end of the day, it gives the guards a lot easier points than what are otherwise available from the jump shot. So it all comes down to their mindset, though. When they're willing to attack, when they're willing to be the aggressor, good things happen, not the least of which is it gets them back to the free throw stripe, which, as we've seen, it becomes a much steeper hill to climb for Indiana when they're not getting freebies within the game. And refs aren't just going to give those things away, man. You got to earn them, and usually you earn them by being aggressive and beating your defender. So kudos to Archie, kudos to the team for kind of pulling it together. But like I said, man, Purdue's going to be a hell of a test. They are basically fighting for their tournament lives at this point. Purdue's chances probably rest on winning out and stealing at least a couple in the Big Ten tournament as things currently stand here. So while I do feel like Indiana's coming into this game the better team, while I would like to think that they're going to come in with a little bit of revenge on their mind after the clunker that they put up in Bobby Knight's return here in Assembly Hall. Make no mistake, Purdue is going to be a dangerous, dangerous team right now because at the end of the day, it's a do or die for the Boilermakers. But tremendous opportunity for Indiana to come show everybody what they're truly made of here as the season draws to a close.
Yeah, I don't know that Purdue can find their way back to the tournament, but that's the problem is you're going against a team who that's the life that they're living. So they have nothing to lose except for their tournament lives. So they're playing at home and they're playing for everything that they have. So it makes it even more difficult. But Trayce Jackson-Davis has certainly, he's been the topic of conversation, obviously, most of the season. But, man, his play has just continued to improve. And he was named the Freshman of the Week again for the fifth time in the Big Ten yesterday. In my opinion, he should have been the Player of the Week. I know DeSomu got that from Illinois, but I'm reading over right now his stats, and it's not that they were not great or good, but I think that Trayce Jackson had just a phenomenal day or week and was the Player of the Week, and for him to be trending in that direction that strongly, I mean, what was it, 27 and 26 and 16 or whatever he had against Minnesota, and it comes back with another double-double, his ninth of the season. I mean, those are veteran-type numbers, and I'm talking with Todd, he compared him to Alan Henderson. I mean, that's lofty praise, but this kid is doing some lofty things.
No, unquestionably. I mean, Trayce is credit to a freshman because he certainly seemed like he'd hit a wall here in the middle of the season. And, Archie made no bones about it in recent games prior to Minnesota. This team, it's going to rise or fall with Trayce's performance. And to have your best player, he's got to show up on the road if your team's going to have a chance. And not a lot of freshmen can internalize that message and process it and respond as effectively as Trayce has. It just remarkable the way in which he's been able to exert himself against some pretty quality big men, no less, too. When you look at the matchup he had against Oturu in Minnesota, I said it then, I'll say it till I die, he ate that kid's lunch for 40 minutes up and down the floor on both ends. And that's an all Big Ten player, a guy that's, possibly staring at a, some level of an All-American nod, perhaps. And then to turn around and do it again against Stevens in Penn State. Lamar is just an absolute load. And there was a moment early in the game where I felt like Trayce was perhaps going to, he was maybe overexerting himself. But to be able to kind of throttle it back just a bit and figure out exactly where he needed to play within the flow of the game to stay out of foul trouble, but to stay effective. Just tremendous credit to the IQ the kid has, to the motor he brings, and just to his resiliency, because it's real easy for a veteran to go through the type of slump that Indiana was facing, especially having done that, for multiple seasons in a row now, and find a way to pull yourselves back out of it. But to see a freshman do that, pretty remarkable. I've been saying all season, I think he's the best basketball player on the team by far. But now he's consistently showing not just us, but his opponents why that is. Now, one thing I will mention, though, that I think has been absolutely a boon to Trace as well has been the emergence of Race Thompson down low, helping shoulder some of that burden, helping take some of the defensive assignments. And more than anything, I think what you see when you look at our interior defense, the way in which these guys not only provide help, but the way in which they can hold their own and keep us out of rotation, I think goes every bit as far as these guys being effective inside. And it's just been remarkable the way in which Race has responded now that he's gotten himself fully healthy. I don't think you can stress enough just what a difficult slog that kid's had, just with his health, with his injuries since he's been here. Just the toughness he brings. It's been absolutely everything to this team, and give them a level of dynamics that, they were sorely missing as Joey Brunk started to slump a little bit. And I think you saw that affect this team as far as their interior defense, their effectiveness in the post on offense. For Race to step in there and pick that load up has made Trace's job a whole lot easier. I think it's given everybody across the roster a lot of confidence in what their big men can do on the offense and defensive side of the floor. And at the end of the day, when you talk about the difference that the mindset makes, confidence goes hand in hand with that. And when these guys are confident, when they have trust and belief in one another, that's the type of magic that Archie's got to conjure here if this team's going to have any postseason success whatsoever. And I think, like I said, man, I think he's tapped the vein here.
Yeah, and now it's believe this or not, tomorrow at 3:05, Chronic. Opening day at the Bart.
I know it. Can you believe it?
It's nuts. It's February, man. It's February. It's opening day at the Bart. It's crazy, but I'll be there.
I got to go get my taxes done. I like 3 months ago, I scheduled this appointment. My wife's in a new role at work. I'm taking on a new role, so we had to get on top of it early on so that we could get this thing done in time. So I'm going to do everything I can. I got a great tax preparer, and Megan Mahaffey. Definitely recommend folks check her out. She does great stuff. Saves me a lot of money, man. But I'm going to let her know she's got to get this done lickety-split, because I got to get over there and see exactly what Coach Mercer's got cooking, because they're looking good so far, man. I was able to fly the W flag for the first time here this season. Belated. I know they'd racked up a couple, but just came off a great road swing, having stolen one from 11th ranked LSU here to start the season. Went on a 3-game Southern streak down at the South Alabama tournament, and came home with the sweep. So bring the Bulldogs into town. A couple of Northern teams. I'm ready for some of that cold weather baseball, man.
Absolutely, man. I'm ready to get out to it. I'm looking forward to it, Chronic. I can't thank you enough. You got anything coming up that the fans need to know about?
So we are jumping in. We're bringing Dr. Clavio in tomorrow. We got a pod taping at 10 o'clock for Mind Your Banners. We're not only going to review the last couple of games, but we're going to spend a lot of the time looking ahead at IU's tournament seeding. Galen not only runs a sports media program here at IU, but he also spends a considerable amount of time in his bracketology endeavors. So we're going to bring a little bit of mathematical science into the equation, talk about exactly where Indiana stands, where the next several games could land them, and just kind of a broader look across the country as far as what type of tournament we may be in store for this year. I'll tell you what, I think it's while there's no clear elite teams in the country right now, I think this has the potential to be one of the best NC2A tournaments in a while, just because there's so much uncertainty going into it, so many teams capable of winning on any given day. And I think the Hoosiers certainly qualify in that group. So we're going to talk that out tomorrow. Looking forward to it. Always fun to have Galen on the pod.
Looking forward to it, man. I can't thank you enough for joining us as always, Chronic.
Thanks for having me, brother. We'll catch you soon.
You betcha. There he is, Chronic Hoosier, joining us here from the Golf Club Eagle Point Studios on Indiana Sports Beat with Coy O'Leary. We're back with more right after this.
Smoking in the boys' room. I was smoking in the boys'
everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about community and would love to share insight with you as a realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Rain Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now the warm weather has arrived. Time Links has no better place than the golf at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make it tea time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dawkins.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Hi, this is AJ Moye, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat. Coyle O'Leary with you on this Tuesday. Coming to you from the Golf Club Eagle Point Studios. A little wet, rainy Tuesday. Rick Bozich was with us, Chronic Hoosier. Been a great day already. Some football news, of course. We mentioned this yesterday. You've seen it everywhere. A statement released by Indiana University head football coach Tom Allen has suspended redshirt sophomore Peyton Hendershot immediately and indefinitely from all team activities. He will continue to evaluate the situation pending further developments. He was arrested on Saturday night on multiple charges, including misdemeanor domestic battery. I think he broke into an ex-girlfriend's house. Hendershot, who's recovering from all-season surgery, he was a Big Ten selection last year, man. After a school record for a tight end, he caught 52 passes, 622 yards, 5 touchdowns, and man, was he expected to be a big part of the most production returning in the Big Ten next year.
Yeah, I mean, and you know that offense. That offense really was. People were excited about what the potential of it, and Peyton Hendershot was, I don't want to say slowly, but I mean gradually just becoming a bigger and bigger part of that offense, and but let's look at the bigger picture of this whole thing. Like this is an issue that just can't happen. I mean, it's just plain and simple. It can't happen.
And I hope that he can get his everything together. He's a good kid.
Yeah,
And,
I know him, and I know his family from.
and
AAU
so I'm not
basketball.
looking at this from a football standpoint, which
Yeah.
obviously he's a valuable player. But forget that. I hope the victim is okay first and
Totally,
foremost.
100%. That's the most important issue.
And I hope he gets his. I hope that this does not end his career.
Right. I hope this is where all of a sudden now
we'll see what comes back. I know that
positive. Right.
Tom Allen's as good a guy as you could probably want to have as your coach in this situation.
Sure.
Because he is not going to just give in anything, but he. I hope that there's a positive ending all the way around. That's
for everybody involved.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I guess that's
involved.
That's all you can say about it.
Yeah.
The Big Ten picture, man. Well, it's just kind of muddled, really. I mean, it's kind of fun to look at, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so crazy. I mean, you look at all the teams that are kind of bunched together, and the good part is Indiana's kind of squeezed their way up into that group. There's been some other teams kind of squeezed their way down almost out of that group, Rutgers being one of those teams. It's just the whole thing is the last 2.5 weeks of the season is going to, obviously define everything and where they're at. And I think, I've had them all listed, all 14 teams listed, and up till last week, still 12 of them have had a chance at making the NCAA tournament. I mean, I scratched Minnesota out when Indiana went there and won. So now I think there's only 11 teams that have that capability, and Purdue, Indiana can scratch them off of that list too if they can go there and get a win on Thursday.
You think Maryland's going to lose another game the rest of the Big Ten season?
Yeah, I do. Actually, I
will put them at my magic mark of 5.
Oh yeah, that's right. We did say that to start the year. I mean, they finished the year out. They've got 4 games. They've got at Minnesota. You're going to guess they probably would win that, but they've got Michigan State, at Rutgers, and Michigan. I mean, they've got four good teams. I mean, it's not like they've got any layups in all of that. So you're at Rutgers and at Minnesota. Those are not gimmies.
Minnesota is.
I don't know. I don't know if it is or not. I mean, they've still got one of the best players in the country. I mean, Daniel Oturu is, if he got hot and got things going, if you're going to put it in percentages the way ESPN does all the time, I mean, there's 75% to 80% chance of winning that game. They should win it. But I mean, it's no gimme, that's for sure.
Do you know, without looking, well, you've seen it probably already, but who's in second place in the Big Ten?
Well, it was Penn State.
It's Wisconsin.
Yeah, that is, yeah, truly, yeah. There are 5 teams tied for second.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's right, 10 and 6. Wisconsin, Iowa, Penn State, Michigan State, Illinois. Yeah.
If right now you're going to say who's the surprise team of the year, they easily have to be it, don't they?
Yeah, I think so. I'm looking at that group because we expected Penn State to be good. We expected Iowa to be good. Michigan State. I thought Illinois was going to be.
Yeah, Illinois. No one knew what the Green Mile would be for them, so they're probably a little bit of a surprise. But if you look at the roster that Wisconsin has, I said this when Indiana went there and played. I think it was the first Big Ten game Indiana played back in December, and I said Wisconsin's terrible. Like I said, I'm pretty sure if we went back and played it, I'm pretty sure I used the word terrible, and they're not terrible, and they've lost their second leading scorer on the team, just quit the team, and so you talk about fighting adversity all year long. Wisconsin, to me, I mean they've overachieved more than anyone else in the league, in my opinion.
I think Indiana's underachieved a little bit.
Actually, a game or two.
3 games actually. It goes back to Arkansas, Maryland, and Purdue, I guess. But man, looking at these standings, wow, this Big Ten conference. I mean, you really need to look at the standings to put it in perspective. When you look at how deep this goes, what I'm down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm down to 10 teams and still 18 wins. I'm 10 deep, and it's Indiana, but I'm 10 deep, and it's 18 wins. It's mind blowing. I think that 10 teams get in. The only team that I think would possibly falter. You brought it up earlier. And I wouldn't have thought this before today. You said that, but Rutgers is the only because of the schedule they have left. And while they're 17-1 at home on the season, they're 1-7 on the road. Man, they got the worst road record besides Nebraska Northwestern. In the Big Ten.
And their next game, which is tomorrow, is at Penn State, and right now nobody needs a win more than Penn State. I mean, they've dropped several in a row, and they're coming back home. They're going to be, they're kind of East Coast rivals a little bit over there, and then the game after that they got Maryland that comes to Rutgers. I know it's been a tough place to play, but that's probably going to be for the Big Ten championship.
Well,
so, I mean, Rutgers has a tough little – their final game of the year at Purdue is going to have an impact on their season.
Yeah,
really
because if you throw 4 losses on there, well, that would leave them at
18-14.
Yeah, on the season, which would definitely be on
would put them at 9-11 in the Big Ten, right?
Yeah. I think that they would really have to lose every game. Because of their overall body of work. I mean, and the fact that it has come within the Big Ten Conference.
If you ask me, like, they have 3 games remaining in the regular season of the Big Ten. I would bet they'll lose all 3 of those. I mean, they're going to lose at Penn State. They're going to lose at home to Maryland, and they're probably going to lose at Purdue. I mean, I think they lose all 3 of those. And if that's the case, I mean, not only, look, they're not ever going to get benefit of the doubt. They're Rutgers basketball. Like, they have no history of, doing well in the tournament. Heck, they haven't made the tournament in 20 years or something, 25 years. So, I mean, they're not going to get benefit of the doubt when you're passing the eye test. Now, early in the season, they looked great, and there was a lot of good talk about them. But if they lose 4 in a row to end the season, that's not going to be good for them. It's going to, but a lot of it, you know what? You think that, and right now, I would say odds are you're probably right. But what's going to be the determining factor in that is what the determining factor is every year, and it's all these other tournaments. And the American Athletic Conference tournament is going to be a big one. That's Houston, Cincinnati, Tulsa, SMU, Wichita State, and Memphis. I mean, those are the teams out of that. Now, what all Big Ten teams need? They need Tulsa to lose every game. They need SMU to lose every game. They need Memphis to lose every game, because those are going to be the ones that are bid stealers, and that's going to be. I think that conference has the most opportunity to steal bids. Now, Missouri Valley, you're going to have Loyola Chicago and Bradley. If one of those teams wins the conference tournament, which they're very capable of doing, even a Southern Illinois or Indiana State could go on a run and win that Missouri Valley. Northern Iowa's going to get in. They would get an at-large bid. They're ranked way too high not to. So, I mean, there's just all these other conferences are. If you want a reason to go crazy when conference week starts, there's plenty of it.
Rutgers needs to also something, we talk about those games. They could play themselves into that first day of the Big Ten tournament.
Oh, yeah.
That bottom 4, which you don't
lose them all.
Yeah, you don't want to be there. But if they did, that's exactly where they would be. And can they give Purdue a little life? Because Purdue, don't they actually play Purdue as part of one of these games?
Yeah, the last game of the year.
So Purdue's life is kind of dependent upon what they can do with Rutgers, and Rutgers, it's gonna.
Yeah, when you sit down and analyze it,
it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun
when you start going through all these games. It's funny because you look at all the different games that go on, and they all start to have an impact on the season and an impact on who's going to make. Tonight Iowa's at Michigan State tonight. I mean, that's not a determination whether they make the tournament or not, but it's a determination in seeding. Tomorrow, Rutgers at Penn State, Maryland at Minnesota. Yeah, all these teams are battling for something. So there's, Thursday night, you've got 4 Big Ten games, and, 3 of them have a major impact on somebody making the tournament or not.
I'm
So
trying
it's
to find
crazy.
right now. I'm trying to find where Joe Lenardi has them.
Has who?
Rutgers right now. Because I know they're in there. Let's see. All right. Obviously, they're in the last sting of bracket out west. There they are. He's got them as a 9 seed right now. That's pretty low.
Yeah,
So that's yeah, that's not a great place to start with a 4-game gauntlet like that coming up.
And analyze Rutgers for a minute. I mean, yes, they were playing great to start the season out. They're a tough win at home, but you mentioned it on the road. They're not very good, and they've got 2 road games. One of them's at Penn State. We know they need a win right now, and the other one's at Purdue. And we see what Purdue's done to so many teams that have come in there. They play so much better at home. So, and then their home game is against Maryland, who's leading the conference. So they have the worst schedule for a team that really needs to make the tournament or needs some wins to make the tournament.
Do you know what Michigan's current seed line is?
I'm going to guess 7.
5.
Yeah, I mean, Michigan.
That puts them in the top 20. That's like being a top 20 team.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at their wins. Look at their quality wins.
I'm not. It just they dropped so far, man.
Here's what's going to be. Here's this year. I think is going to be when you see probably the biggest disparity in. Like there will be teams that finish under other teams within the Big Ten conference and other conferences for that matter. But from our argument's sake, for the Big Ten, that have a higher seed than the team that finished above them, because of their body of work and what they did early in the season. And Michigan's probably a prime example of that, in that, they're going to finish, they're going to finish somewhere in that 3rd to 8th in the Big Ten, tied with some other teams, I'm sure. And, they're 7th right now in the Big Ten, and they're listed as a 5 seed. I mean, that's crazy.
That's a little mind-boggling.
But they finished the year. I mean, they've got a tough finish to the year also. I mean, they've got Wisconsin at home. They've got at Ohio State. Then Nebraska at home they should win. And then they're at Maryland to finish the year.
And, the funny thing is, and I do this all the time, this doesn't really mean anything. Now this at least gives you, to me, a very legitimate look at where you are, because Joe Lenardi he's made a living off this being dead on close to this. So we know that this is within the framework. We don't know that this is who this team's going to play and that they're going to be in this particular bracket. But if they're in this bracket, you can guarantee they're in the field, at least from that standpoint. So we look at it from that standpoint.
When you look at right now. Here's some great examples. Look at Ohio State, and Ohio State is ranked 23rd in the country right now, with new rankings that have come out right now. And they're ranked 23rd, yet they are 2 solid games behind Wisconsin and Illinois, who are not ranked at all. I mean, they're a half a game behind Rutgers still, but they're 2 solid games. I mean, they virtually cannot catch Wisconsin and Illinois from a ending the season standpoint in the Big Ten. And yet they're ranked, and those teams are not. And that's what I mean. You're going to get an Ohio State that's going to finish with Illinois is probably the team that gets the least amount of national credit, in my opinion, in the Big Ten, because they went on a stretch throughout, midway through the Big Ten where they won 5 or 6 games in a row, and they were all good games, and they got virtually no credit for that.
Yeah, I mean, Wisconsin comes in to Bloomington to end the season for the Hoosiers. Now, I see them winning that game, of course.
We just chalk it up as a win, right?
But that's not just – we can't just do that, because they lost to that team, and this team's second in the Big Ten or tied for second in the Big Ten right now. So yeah. I guess you really shouldn't just dismiss them.
I totally agree with you. I mean, but I just look at them and I don't –
I'm saying –
I don't see how. I don't see how they're at that point. I mean, They've got a pretty good schedule to finish the year out. If you look at where they're at, I mean, they're second in the Big Ten right now. Thursday they play at Michigan. That's going to be a toughie. But then at home they've got Minnesota at home, Northwestern at home, and then at Indiana. So that Indiana game is probably going to determine whether they finish, tied for second in the Big Ten or as far down as like 7th. It's going to be that big of a deal. But it's we could literally play this game. That's why we love college basketball, because we could literally sit here and play this game all day long. Because what team could win here? The most interesting part is going to be how many teams make the tournament, which it's most likely going to be 10. There's a possibility there could be some teams fall apart, Indiana being one of those, where there could only be 9. But if there's 10 teams, the seeding is going to be interesting, because teams like Illinois, I think, are going to get seeded with a worse seed than teams like Michigan or Ohio State, and they're going to finish above them in the Big Ten.
It's going to be fun, man. There's no doubt about that. It's going to be fun, and I'm looking forward to it. It's just always, it's just like you want to sit back with a big old bucket of popcorn and be at the movie.
When college football season comes around and it's bowl season, the people who football is their favorite sport. I mean, that's their Christmas for the year. That's their Hanukkah for the year or whatever. They get so many days of watching that. Well, once conference tournaments start, like I can remember this from 20 years ago when my kids were just born. And I remember sitting up late at night watching West Coast Conference games with my babies sitting around there at 1:00 in the morning, and these conference games are only halfway over. I love the conference tournaments. I love, the obviously the NCAA tournament and all that. It will be so much nicer. Selection Sunday has a different feeling to it when your favorite team is going to be announced. There's just no two ways about it. Like, I love it no matter what. I've watched it in the last 2 years with insane excitement, but it's not the same when Indiana, for me, when Indiana's not in. My favorite team's not going to be selected. It's just not the same.
Well, when we had Rick Bozich on earlier, he talked about back in your playing days, and we all know this. He didn't even think about the NCAA tournament as far as making it or not. It was just always, are they going to be a 2 or a 3 seed?
Right.
It was.
We used to.
Are they going to Sacramento, or are they going to get to play in Indianapolis?
And even when I did the radio with Fish, I mean when we were watching it, like I truly didn't care where we were or who we were playing. I only wanted to go somewhere warm. Like, that was really all that mattered. And we wanted to go somewhere where it was.
You play golf. Are you kidding?
Exactly. But my point in that is we weren't worried about who we were going to play. I was worried about where we were going. But the bottom line to that was we were in, and it just makes Selection Sunday. Like, I love when they flip the board over and it says, 4 seed versus whatever it is, 12 seed, 13 seed, 4 versus 13. And you just see who those teams are. I love when it's, the mystery of whether it's your team or not.
Last question of the day. Freshman of the year, and I know what your answer is probably going to be because of your slant. Freshman of the year, Kofi Coburn, Trace Jackson Davis.
I think that this is honestly true. I think the last 2 weeks of the season will determine it. And I think right now, if you voted today, I think Kofi Coburn would win it. He's won the Freshman of the Year more times than Trace Jackson Davis
I think they're tied now.
Are they?
I think they are now. I think they're tied at 5 now after Trace got it again.
So then I'd be wrong, because right now I would say it would be trending towards Trace Jackson Davis, because I know early on it was all Kofi Coburn, and he was winning it. He must have won it 4 out of 5 weeks in a row.
And like anything else, when your team's doing well, you're doing well.
That's exactly right.
They don't pick Heisman winners off of losers.
Right. If Indiana finishes well, I truly believe Trace Jackson Davis will be on the uptrend and win that award. But right now, I honestly don't know. I mean, if it was 2 weeks ago, I would have said easily Kofi Coburn. And now I would say it's probably leveled out.
It's like this week, though, when he got the Freshman of the Week, he deserved the Player of the Week.
Yeah,
because they gave it to DeSoymu, and I looked at DeSoymu, and I'm like, well, he had better numbers.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, it's like they just don't want to. They want to give it to. Let's give it to as many kids as possible.
Has a freshman won that award all year?
Yeah, I'd say Coburn has. I bet. I'll guarantee it.
You think so?
And that's yes. I bet you. Now that may put and that may kind of help Coburn over the top. But I think that Trey Jackson got screwed out of a Player of the Week award
this week for sure. Like
I mean, that was that's just ridiculous. But I agree with you. He's trending up now.
Yeah.
We heard more about Kofi earlier. Not that they've gone away, but Illinois is they've quieted down a little bit. Indiana's making a little bit of noise, and that'll help.
Yeah. No, if Indiana can finish strong and win a couple of these games, and it truly, I still I'm going to say back to what I said. To start this segment was I think the last 2 weeks will determine who it's going to be. I think if it finished today, I think Coburn would probably have. We're going to
start doing we'll start keeping track of the games from here out between those two, and because I think they're kind of tied right now. I think it's real close. I think you're exactly right. This last couple of weeks is going to determine who that is, but we'll find out. Man, it has been an incredible show again, as always. I cannot thank Rick Bozich enough for joining us today from Fox 41 in Louisville, nationally renowned sports writer. Chronic Hoosier was also on with us as well, and we'll look forward to that. Back tomorrow with plenty more. Charlie Miller's going to be with us at the end of the week, former Hoosier player.
Look forward to that. I always like talking to Charlie.
Great guy, man. What a great guy. So looking forward to that as well. Plenty more to get to. Tomorrow, of course, we'll be getting prepared as Indiana's getting ready to take on Purdue. Todd will have them broken down and tell you what's got to happen for the Hoosiers to win that game up in West Lafayette. But thanks a lot for joining us. And until tomorrow, for Jake, Todd, I'm Jim Coyle, and I will see you on the radio.